Hi, my name is John Morrison, and I had a background in science and engineering. I worked for NASA for a long time and for the Atomic Energy Commission. Did a lot of work on research and development and engineering nuclear fuel elements and a lot of stuff with spaceflight. Retired now, and I've been looking at things and I wonder, why do they make it that way? Why don't they do it something better? One of the things that attracted my attention was golf clubs. Holding in my hands a golf club, probably unlike anyone you've ever seen. And the difference is, you may have noticed already, that the center line of this shaft, extended through the face of the club, goes right through the center of mass of the club. And that's really where you want it to be, because you want to hit that ball exactly where you're swinging. Now, most of you are more used to seeing this kind of a club. This is a standard Ping G10, and the connection between the shaft and the head of the club is right at the heel. Now, what the problem with that is, we're all used to it. We've done it since golf was invented. But this offset creates some difficulties. First of all is the alignment. Trying to look at the ball, you want to hit it here, but you're swinging, the lever point on the lever is right here. Now, we've gotten used to it. We know how to compensate for it in our swings, but it still causes problems. It's particularly a disadvantage if you get a little bit of an off-center hit, or if your club is turned a little bit, because now you get that leverage action even more. What we try to do is look at the golf club and say, if you were a physicist or engineer and you're designing this thing from the start, and not from 200 years of tradition, what changes would you make? And one of the first things you do is you'd like this shaft to go right through the spot that you're aiming at. I'm aiming at the ball, I want to swing through it, I want that shaft going right through that spot. This gets rid of so much of the dispersion. When we took these clubs out in San Diego on Golf Labs test grounds, we tested them for 3 or 4 hours against a number of major brands. We tested driver, 3-wood, 5-wood. Each of the clubs, the driver, the 3-wood, the 5-wood, had roughly half the dispersion that you would get from the clubs that are where the shaft is attached at the heel. Now, what's the problem with this? These are great clubs. We haven't optimized them yet. This is the first round. In fact, the people at Golf Lab said, and they test for everybody, they do all the big name brands, and they said they'd never seen a first-generation club come through that played so well. Whether the hit was on the toe, or whether it was on the heel or dead center, consistently we had half the dispersion that the same type of hit would have from a big name club. The problem with this is we don't know how to get it to the market. We know we've only got the first generation. We know there are more improvements. The 3-wood and the 5-wood consistently hit in the test at Golf Lab 3–4% longer, but they all hit straighter. The driver hit about the same distance as the standard clubs, but again, straighter. Now, it's kind of an interesting concept. Hit the ball straight. Swing so that your club shaft goes through where the ball is, not 2 inches away from where it is. We think this is a concept that if we can get this club in the hands of enough average golfers, they're going to like it so much that they're going to say to the USGA, come on, use your head, everything changes, technology comes, this is a better idea, let's grant it. We clearly don't want to interfere with any of the ancient rules of golf, any of the old records. This is not a club that's going to bust the golf course in length. It's not going to outmold the current courses. What it is going to do is make the average golfer, actually some pretty good golfers too, anybody from 3 or 4 handicap up to about 16 or 18 who we've tested, love the club. We go out on a range, we find half a dozen guys and say, try this club. 90% of them, the only question they have is, where can I get my hands on it? In fact, we've yet to find a first person that says, hey, is this legal? But we know it isn't. We know the USGA is not going to like marketing his club. We think this will come eventually. As, for example, it did with the putters. There was a time when this putter would have been illegal, because this putter is operating on the same principle as that driver I showed you. The center line of that shaft goes right through the center of mass, and the alignment is so much more true. Phil Mickelson accepted not too many people can hit the ball straight when the shaft is out here, and they have this parallax area in alignment. And so we think that eventually that was accepted, We think the change in the overall size of the club, which once was limited to 330 cubic centimeters and now is 460, because the USGA found with experience that it didn't damage the game. It helped it. It made it more fun for more people. Now, what we want to do is find out how we're going to market this. And what we're being told is nobody wants to buy a club that's not got a USGA stamp of approval on it. That may be true. We're not sure. We think if we can find some marketing channel where we can get this club in the hands of golfers who like to play in a fairway, don't want to wreck the course, who would like to have half as much error on their shots and have a lot more of them ending up in the fairway, not in the rough, not behind the trees, that if we can find a marketing channel, a way to market these clubs to get it in the hands of the average golfer, that eventually enough people will use it that they'll come and say to the USGA, hey look, give us a break. This makes golf more fun. I like it, my wife likes it, my kids like it, and we're not hurting anything. Why don't we see if we can't make this legal? We think it's the right way from a scientific standpoint, from the leverage, from the physics involved, and we think eventually this is going to pay off. So we've got a classic marketing dilemma. We have a very good product, we've tested it, we know the product works. Furthermore, if we can eventually get the product into enough people's hands, we know they're going to like it. And when they do, the rewards are going to be very high. We filed patents 2 years ago. We've got provisional patent approval, and we have the ability to put patent pending on all the equipment that we make. Now, getting there is going to be tough. The USGA has made it very clear in their design rules that you can't have the golf club shaft centered the way we have it, so that the golf club center line goes through the center of mass. We think the way to attack that is to get this golf club into the hands of a lot of average golfers. We know once they start playing with it, they're going to like it. It hits the ball straighter, it makes the game more fun. So there's a very high reward to risk ratio here. The risk is that we've got an institutional barrier to overcome, which is a very large one. The reward is, if we get enough people playing out there, there's a good possibility the USGA will approve it. And when they do, every golf club manufacturer is going to have to come to us because of our patent rights. Golf club manufacturers thrive on innovation. If you look around at the golf shops or watch the golf commercials, every couple of months there's some new idea out there that they're trying to push, and most of them are helpful to some degree or other. Golf manufacturers need innovation to survive. If there's no innovation, everybody just takes the clubs they bought 10, 15 years ago and keeps playing with them, and that's not good for sales. The beauty of this innovation is that if it ever becomes accepted, and we think it will, that eventually every golfer in the country is going to want clubs like these. Who wouldn't want to play in a fairway rather than a rough? Who wouldn't want to have a much better shot at keeping the ball in the low grass instead of behind the trees and in the bushes? But right now we're looking for someone who can help us market it. If you've got some good ideas on a marketing channel you think might work, a way to get this in the hands of average golfers, we'd love to hear from you. If your idea is good and we use it, we'll end up paying you for it. If it isn't, we'd like to hear from you anyway, just to get other people's view of whether we got something here or not. Thanks very much for listening, and look at our email address and get in touch with us.